Hello student, I am Sudeep sir, your education teacher. Today I will teach the modernization in education. In this chapter, we will learn about significance of the term education, narrow meaning of the term education, and broader meaning of the term education. Meaning and definition of education. In English, education has been derived from four Latin words. These are educare, educere, educatum, and educo. Educare. The term educare means to train or mold or to rise or nourish. In other words, it means that the child decide to be brought up according to certain ends and aim in view. Educere. Educere means to lead out or to draw out or bring forth what is within. In other words, it means to draw out the latent potentialities of the child. Educatum. Educatum denotes the acts of teaching. It throws light on the principles and practice of teaching. Educo. It is the combination of two words E and duco. E stands for out of and duco means to draw out or lead out the inner power of man. Now the definition of education by different educationists. Different scholars and philosophers diversely define education. They throw more light on the meaning and significance of education. Plato view on education. Man as a combination of body and soul. Education has to develop the physical and spiritual qualities of man. According to Aristotle, education as the creation of a sound mind in a sound body. According to Swami Vivekananda, education is the manifestation of the divine perfection already existing in man. According to Gandhiji, by education, I mean an all round drawing out of the best in child and man body, mind, and spirit. Significance of the term education and accompanying factors of modernization in different aspects of human life. Deliberation about education has become much more widespread and reality based. The overall realistic idea about education is science of education. In order to know, please seriously about the science of education, it is imperative to know exactly the modern practical significance of the term education. It has been discussed earlier that term education has been used in the past by common people and also by eminent thinkers. Now the different view of education. First one, narrower meaning of the term education. The derivative meaning of the term Shiksha in Bengali and education in English in the first and second instance are of narrower significance. Actually, in most cases, the word education is used in its narrow sense. According to this version, education is acquisition of some knowledge for acquiring some skills. The narrow meaning of education. In its narrow sense, education means schooling. Here, everything is systematic, prefixed, and predetermined. The curriculum, methods of teaching, examination, and teacher are prefixed and predetermined. It is a systematic process to achieve the definite goals of education through classroom instruction. A learner can get proper employment after getting a certificate from these institutions. Overall, we can say that formal education is the narrow view of education. To make narrow meaning of education is more clear, the following opinions of the some educationists are being given. Here is only one educationist given, John Stuart Mill. The culture which each generation purposefully gives to those who are to be its successors to qualify them for at least keeping up and if possible for rising the level of the improvement which has been attained. Characteristics of narrow meaning of education. We can summarize the narrow meaning of education in the following points. It is a planned, organized, and formalized process. It is a deliberate and controlled modification of the behavior of the child. It is imparted at a particular place, like a school, at a definite time by a definite person. It is equivalent to instruction. It is the acquisition of knowledge and skill. It is deliberate, planned, and generally dominated by teachers. It is considerate and influencing immature person by matured one. Here students are a passive recipient of knowledge and information. The amount of knowledge is measured in terms of degree and diplomas. Now our next view of education, broader meaning of the term education. Psychologists have generally agreed upon the view that every child is born with some latent and potentialities. Those most important realities go on developing gradually as time passes. Educationists of modern period have been encouraged by the opinion of psychologists and sociologists. The thing that the real task of education is to help the development of children's innate potentialities. It means that the task of education is not limited within the act of acquiring knowledge only. Education is to help an individual in his individual growth and development. Now the broader meaning of education, in broader sense, education is not limited to the four walls of the classroom. It is a lifelong process. It is a modification of behavior and experience from different means of a source of education. It helps one to cope and adjust in changing environment. It equips a private with different knowledge, experience, and skills for his all-round development. In a broader sense, life is education and education is life. The experience gained through the house, temple, church, family, playground, club, society, school include the broader meaning of education. To make a wider meaning of education more clear, the following opinion of some educationists are being given. According to Swami Vivekananda, education is the manifestation of the divine perfection already existing in man. According to Gandhiji, by education, I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in child and man body, mind and spirit. John Dewey, education in its broader the sense is the means of social continuity. Characteristics of broader meaning of education. We can summarize the wider or the broader meaning of education as follows. It is a lifelong process. It is as broad as life itself and not limited to a classroom or school only. That means there is no need to any institution. It is free and uncontrolled. It means the process of development from infancy to maturity. It is meant for the development of balance, all round, harmonious development of personality. It comprises the totality of our experiences. It is based on innate potentialities and abilities of children. It is education by the living, to the living, and for the living. Now the conclusion. We can conclude from the above points, narrow sense of education is nothing. It is for optimum development of a child, and a wider sense of education gives the all-round development of children. Education is the process of development of the kid or the individuals. So we can say it is a lifelong process. Thank you, class.